Bro, look at that clickbait. It's so sweet. Such sweet clickbait.
Scobie, man.
Hey,
I called his work and told him that he had a more important meeting to go. So because we got business to talk about, guys. We weren't here Friday. I was out last week on an alien planet battling a virus that was trying to take over the world. I won, you guys. I saved us all. You owe me.
Does that mean you beat Returnal? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Did not beat Returnal.
No, I haven't even beaten the first boss yet. But that's only because I haven't played a bunch. Okay, that's only because I haven't played a bunch.
All right, can we start the show?
Start the show.
All right. This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's what time it is. That's where we are. That's what we're doing right now. My name is Brian Powell from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole, and the guys to my right, the boys, Dave from Dave Station for VR.
It's good to not just be the guy this time.
Yeah.
It's good to be the boys again.
The boys. And that guy on the right-hand side of the screen is AJ from The Underground, PSVR Underground.
What is up, Brian? What is up, Dave? What is up, GameCats? Guys, I really shouldn't be yelling because I did have a really bad thing happen to me last week. Thank you guys so much for all the nice words and stuff. But yeah, man, I should really be taking it easy, but I just can't because it's exciting times. We got a lot to talk about, and it's Monday. We want to make your Monday suck just a little bit less.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like, you want to make your Mondays suck, and then I just kind of faded out after that. Really, really glad we're making it suck a little bit less. That is so cool. Shout out, of course, getting the show started with a tip from Jeppy Condal with $5 tip. We love you so much, man. Thank you for the love. Also, shout out to Ben L, the Game Cat, right with a $10 tip. Says at work, so I'll miss the live show, but I'll watch the replay later. Thanks for all you guys do for this great community.
Quit your jobs. Just quit all your jobs. This is important. Come join us.
PSVR enthusiast.
Brian will pay you.
PSVR enthusiast says, "What was the leak?" It's like, there's no way to know, man. There's just no way to know. You're never going to find out, and we're certainly not going to tell you. We made that thumbnail, we titled the video, and then we said we're going to keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? All right, you guys, let's get this show started by reminding everybody to go over to Discord, click the link in the description, join our amazing community there. That is where all the coolest cats hang out. This is great. I'm doing this
to be integrated with PlayStation Discord.
Well, soon, like next year, soon. PSVR2 is coming soon by that definition.
You've seen what these developers do. They always say soon. I'm just, we're just another brick in the wall.
You guys don't know how much fun this is. Tornado's just off camera going.
I saw her just out of the frame for a second.
She's like, actually, she's getting so big. She's actually a little bit scary. Okay. Yeah, join our Discord, man. Links in the description. Come hang out. It's where this conversation happens 24/7. It's a good time. Man, so much stuff has happened. Though, since the last time we all got together, AJ almost died, and now is all better.
It sucked, man. It really sucked. I don't get sick often, but I was hardcore sick, and like throat was infected, and it like hurt to swallow, and it sucked, man. And I couldn't talk. Now I can talk a whole bunch. Isn't it great?
Yeah, there was like 5 days where AJ didn't call me, and I'm
finally some peace.
I'm not taking sides on this. I'm just saying there were 5 days where he didn't call me.
I called him again, and he was like, "Restart the clock."
There's a sign on the wall that says "number of days without an OSHA incident." It's just number of days without AJ calling. Just tear off the sheet one by. Okay, this is 8 goddamn minutes. Shout out before we really get started to Red Rover the effing Game Cat with a $10 tip. Says I was doing the same thing Tornado was doing. You broke my focus, bro. Thanks, Red Rover. We love you, man. We love all of you guys out there. AJ, what's the first thing we want to talk about today?
Guys, the first thing we are going to talk about comes from an exclusive from UploadVR, and it says, exclusive. Next-gen PlayStation VR is 4K with foveated rendering and vibration feature. Sony's next-generation VR headset for PlayStation 5 has significantly higher resolution, inside-out tracking, a vibration motor, and even foveated rendering, reliable sources tell UploadVR. So first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. This is not an official Sony word.
Correct.
But it's probably correct anyway.
It is probably correct because we are aware that developer kits are out in the wild now, and UploadVR, being naughty Upload, probably got some good solid info from them. But you know, if I have to imagine that most of this is pretty accurate, albeit probably going to be having a lot of holes in it as well.
Well, I think it's really interesting that you brought that up because I got my PSVR this week out super late. I got it out this morning or early this afternoon or something, right? And but it's the thing that was on that show was the thing that was on all of our minds for the last week or so, and that's what the hell is Sony doing? Like, it's all of these trailers over it. Would you stop yawning, Dave? You're like making me bored.
I'm sorry. I'm not bored. I'm just tired. I'll cover myself up. Like that.
I mean, it's less distracting. We were all wondering what Sony was doing because they had put out this trailer about PlayStation 5 and like given all these details, but then over the course of the last 3 weeks, almost every single day, they were basically showing off another feature of the PlayStation 5, saying, look at this, look at what it can do with 4K, look at what it can do with ray tracing and HDR and the SSD. I mean, it was one after another, the tiniest little things. You know, they even went as far as backward compatibility, and I was like, well, anyway. So it was like, where is all of this leading? Right? There was like this narrative that was being created, almost being like, hey, we're taking you through everything you kind of already know, and I felt like it was leading to something that we didn't know. And I do still feel like Sony was prepped to reveal something this week because they knew that these developer kits were out there. They knew that leaks like this were possible. That's the same reason they revealed those controllers 2 months ago, because they wanted to get ahead of the leaks. And the fact that they didn't get ahead of this, I feel like they have something planned for later this week. They just didn't think that shit was going to happen this fast.
Maybe it was planned for that, or maybe it was just planned soon. You'd have to think it was sometime soon. But unless there's just something significantly different about the developer kits than the actual finalized product. Maybe it's not even done yet. You know, I'd like to make the comparison that, you know, first of all, hopefully everyone's been paying attention to what we've been saying for the last couple months, because a lot of what we say is based off of information that is good. We just kind of have to cover our tracks sometimes and protect those that get that information to us. So we might, you know, put a little like curveball on it, but yeah, we've known information about the testing models, like the prototype testing phase stuff. I made a whole video on it, and it lines up with some of this, which is just slightly different. And when I made that video, everyone was like, "You're crazy," and you know,
You're still crazy.
Wait, when you made that video, Jim Ryan was still telling people that PSVR2 was at least 3 years out.
Yeah.
Everyone believed it. Everyone believed it. Real quick shout out to Donnie, aka Donatello, the Scientist Game Cat. I like that I used one pseudonym for another. With a $5 tip, it says, got haptics on my mind or head. Excitement overload. Got haptics on my mind or head. Yeah, there's so much to talk about, man. I love every single one of these leaks. We're going to go through them one by one in just a moment.
Yes.
Dave, before we actually jump into this, though, were you kind of in line with what I was saying? Like, did you think that like Sony was going to reveal something soon, or did you think we have a long ways to wait? Do you think they're going to reveal something soon after this upload thing? What's your take on all this?
I don't know. I mean, I think they can still, now that this is out there, they can kind of bide their time and wait for like a really big, you know, press release kind of thing when they're ready to. I mean, this is enough to keep people interested. And if I was Sony, I wouldn't be mad that this got leaked before I could tell people, because it's all good. There's nothing bad about this.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that's exciting, actually. Like I said forever, like, I don't think they're going to do that thing with the haptics and the mask. I just don't think. I think it's a weird patent that they're never going to use. It's a cool idea or whatever. But having played Returnal now and feeling the raindrops and the DualSense and all this stuff, like hearing that that's in the headset, that's really cool, actually. And I'm really excited about that. And that'll change the market, because like nobody has any shit like that built into their headset. And I don't see Oculus rushing out to shove shit like that in their Quest anytime soon. So, yeah, it's really cool stuff. And then also the foveated rendering is going to be really nice, especially because I don't know if you read the article through where they were talking about like the specifics of that stuff. But one application I didn't think about, like foveated rendering can increase the graphical resolution. That's one thing, because it renders what you're looking at better than the stuff around it. But with throwing stuff, they said they can track your eyes to see what object you're looking at and help you guide the throw better. And imagine how much better every throwing mechanic in every VR game would be if that was the case. If it knew what you were trying to hit, because you looked at it. That is something so much better.
That is something that that Jamie over at Upload was talking about quite a bit, saying that there were tests or whatever, right? That were basically, if you're throwing a ball or you're shooting something, and if like you're glancing at a target, then the game knows what you're trying to shoot at, and it was one of these things where it was 100% without fail, always accurate, and that it's like this sort of this assisted aim thing that just makes sense. Right, so you don't have to like tell the game what you're aiming at. Like you just, because of human nature, you're going to look at your target. That is all the headset needs to know. So yeah,
it'll certainly help with like VR games. They need some kind of aim assist or something to have a workable algorithm to be able to program throwing, and this could be something that benefits that. This could be definitely a tool that could help that. It's a cool little feature for sure.
Yeah, and we don't really want to get into like huge comparisons between what current. I mean, obviously it's good to have a frame of reference to say this is what the PC market's doing right now. But like we don't really need to get into a whole lot of Quest comparisons during this episode. I think that we are all on the same page here, where it's like this is next gen VR. Like we are moving everything so far forward at this point that like starting to get into comparisons is like a little bit silly. I think it's like, let's compare the PlayStation 5 to the Switch. It's like we know we don't need to do that. They have their benefits, and that's about as far as we need to go with that. I do want to give a quick shout out to Original Uberbitch, the Bearded Game Cat, with the €5 donation. Says, "What's up, guys? Happy to catch my Three Musketeers of VR live again, and welcome back, AJ. Dope T-shirt. I love. Yes. Whenever anyone notices the dope T-shirt for the first time."
Yeah, you know what it is? It's the light. I've got a new light on me, and ever since I've had this light, this little desk lamp, everyone's been saying, "Oh, great T-shirt." I've been wearing this shirt for 2 years on this show, but
almost every time.
But it's the light.
It does really glow in the light. It helps. Dave and I are shrouded in darkness. If you had any idea what I was wearing, you'd be like, "Not cool shirt, bro." So, all right. So yeah, we kind of dove into one of the features a little bit, but I think we should probably tackle these things one by one. Everything that was sort of revealed, everything that was sort of leaked today.
Hell yeah!
No, hell yeah! You're so excited. I love it. And I think the first one has to be the 4K display, right? This was a big question mark for a lot of people. Like, can the PlayStation 5 even output two images, two rendered scenes simultaneously, one for each eye at 4K? Is that going to be something that's possible for PlayStation VR2? And in having that, I mean, is actually more than I thought it would be. I was assuming it would be closer to 2K.
Well, so I think it's like 2K per eye or something. It's 4K total for the whole screen. But I don't know exactly. It's always confusing with VR headsets because it's like, well, but that's like half of that per eye or something like that. But it's still, what it is essentially is a little bit higher than the Quest 2. And you guys have tried the Quest 2. That's a really crisp, clear screen. Like if the graphics behind it are pumping something really,
it has to have the power. It has to have the graphical like GPU behind it as well, because there's been games on the Quest that just because it's on the Quest, there's been games that have still had like a little bit of blur, a little bit of shimmer because of the game. So
right, this is what I was trying to clarify before this show. So 2K per eye, this is great, and this is great. I was like, it's half of what I just was just saying. It's fantastic. But that is good though, because I mean honestly, here's something I don't think enough people understand, and what it is that if you've ever played Hitman 3 on PSVR 1 on PlayStation 5, then you are going to be looking at that game and going, what the fuck? How is this possible in current gen PSVR 1 headset? And just seeing like these gorgeous graphics pumped out at like the highest resolution, and that's just something that we don't see a lot of on PSVR 1. And so, so being like, oh, well, trying to compare apples to apples here, it's like it's higher res than that. And it's like that already looked fucking incredible. So, and so then you take something like all the horsepower that's behind the PlayStation 5, you add it to this improved resolution, and it's like, I think this is going to fucking blow people away.
It's going to depend on the developers too. Like I said before, we're probably going to see this. There's going to be there should be a fair amount of games like this, but it is going to depend on the developers. Stuff like first party stuff we can expect. We've already had a small taste of this with Blood and Truth having 4K. It's actually 4K capable already, but because the headset is only like 1080 by like 960p or something, can't do 4K. It was super sampled. So we've seen just a taste of how rich it can look and how crisp and stuff with high fidelity. I'm talking like PS4 graphics in VR, seeing that. And that's just for immersion alone. That's just going to be phenomenal. And we've seen even some smaller developers like the Ven VR Adventure people. They are one of the few indie developers I'm aware of that actually have some 4K gameplay that they've showed off. And that was just another thing to me, another sign right there saying next gen is going to be 4K. It's got to be, because we're starting to see it become more normal, be a little bit more normalcy around it.
Yeah, it will be nice to see a lot of games like I mean, as simple as Ven is, it's a nice looking game, right? And to be able to bring that over to, who knows at this point? I kind of hope that I've said this like so often, but they're doing one platform for Ven at a time, right? And so they finished whatever the first one was, and they're working on the second one, and like I think PSVR is third in line. And so at this point, I'm like, just fucking wait, man. Just wait for PSVR2. You're gonna get your analog sticks and whatever. But then to be able to say, hey, with this 4K version that we were able to render on high-end PCs, that's the version you guys are gonna get. And just seeing how improved some of these games are gonna be is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there's just, it's super important. Like we said, there was a lot of, we kind of speculated early on that we could be 4K, especially being wired. We know that there's one wire, and if it's wireless, okay, maybe that would be a little bit tougher because of the price and having like that sounds like some really expensive hardware, which I have another theory potentially for. But we said with PS5 being, it's actually 8K capable, at least it says in the box. I know, but it's still capable of doing it, Dave. From their word, even though games these days on flat screen are hardly able to render at 4K, like 120 frames per second. It's still just nice having that future proof so that 2-3 years from now when we're playing PSVR 2, not everyone's going to be like like every game is going to be 4K, and then the PSVR 2 is not even going to be able to run 4K. It's important.
Right. Absolutely. Here, don't mind me. So the screens are going to be amazing, right? And I know there's a lot of people asking questions in the chat that we just don't have the answers to. There's only so much information was given today, and we don't know if there's going to be OLED screens. We don't know if it's we simply don't know a bunch of things. We don't know the weight of the headset, right?
This is the drawback of a leak versus a actual,
Well, Sony doesn't always tell us everything either.
Right.
They announce something.
Exactly. We only have what we've been given, and now that some stuff is coming out, I'm going to do a little bit more digging and see what I can find out. But I still think this was a great first step today in terms of like just finding out that PSVR 2 there was, and I know we kind of want to get onto the next feature, but there was a part of me that kept saying, let's just get a decent headset out there. That was saying like let's Let's make sure it's just up to par with normal PC stuff, and like it doesn't have to blow anyone out of the water. It doesn't have to like be super special in any regard at all. It's like
not how Sony rolls, man.
Let's get these new controllers out there and use the power of the PlayStation 5 to really blow. But what happened was it turns out that they are, trying to future-proof this thing as much as possible and make it as special as possible to separate themselves from PSVR, from Quest, to like kind of do their own thing, to make things on PlayStation VR2 special, the same way that I think a lot of people are realizing that the DualSense is special. That when you play a game with PlayStation 5, it's really hard to go over to the new Xbox because the controller just doesn't feel special anymore. That it's not doing the same thing. And so I think that that's sort of Sony's angle. And
yeah. Somebody could come out next year or within a year or two and have a 4K headset, and everyone would be like, "Oh, why isn't Sony's headset 4K?" That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing in line was something that I think we already knew because of the controller reveal, and that's inside-out tracking. We basically already knew that because when they did the controller reveal, they said that it would be they'd be tracked by the headset itself, and that is basically the definition of inside-out tracking.
Yeah. That's going to help alleviate a lot of problems for people that, just want to pick up the thing and play it. And that, let one less barrier. That's just one more barrier knocked out of the way. Because, if somebody that's maybe a little bit more tech savvy is not going to have problem setting up the camera, making sure it's like set up right, adjusting everything, and making sure that there's no reflective surfaces. But different houses, different living environments are different. And so having something a little bit less faulty, like inside-out tracking, is going to go a long way.
Yeah. All right.
In terms of less setup and better tracking. It still has, like I said, it still has some blind spots. So it'll be interesting. We still don't know where they're going to place the cameras, how they're going to place them on the headset. But, even on the Quest 2, like I've put my arm down by my side and it lost tracking. So it's not completely foolproof, but I think it is the best option we have at the moment, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
This gen.
And for pure simplicity's sake, above anything else, when you're setting up a camera, I mean, I think everybody knows as far as light tracking is concerned, having a camera set up, it's like you can easily step outside of the range of the camera, and mid-game, like where something is happening that's pretty intense, you're gonna be real pissed if you lose tracking, and you die because of the game, because of the fucking hardware, not because of anything else. And then of course, like putting sensors up in your room. I mean, that's just a disaster. That's what a mess. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is have to put sensors up in my room at all.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing. At the beginning, people acted like it's such a hassle to have this PSVR set up every time, like to pull everything out and hook it up. And it's like some people don't want to keep that shit permanently in their house. Like there are people who probably don't want the camera set up forever and take it down when they stop playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or have kids or dogs or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just cables to chew on, laying around. You got to put them back in the box. So like absolutely just plop it on your head, plug in the one USB, end of story. That would be much nicer.
I think one more small benefit to this that we could say is that maybe people with less space to work with actually don't have to worry about it, because it'll be projected right there. So if you're it'll actually allow for better tracking in a smaller space, because I know a lot of people out there don't have tons of space to work with in some cases as well.
For sure. I mean, I'm 450 square feet over here apartment, and like that's everything. So my play space is pretty fucking small, so like even the light tracking wasn't the worst thing ever, because the camera certainly covered most of my play space. This still such a huge improvement. I mean, we don't even have to go into all the other negatives about light tracking. We already know, oh, there's a Bluetooth device nearby. Oh, there's this, there's a reflection, there's a mirror, the light isn't the right color. People are changing their fucking light bulbs to green to make it better tracking. I was like, I'm so happy I didn't have all of those problems. But like for people who did, what a fucking nightmare. What a nightmare. Real quick before we move on, guys, Red Rover, the effing Game Cat, with another $5 tip, says, great. Every time I see Dave's screen go black, I yawn. Just great. It's covering up all the yawns. And we also got original Uber bitch to Bearded Game Cat with the €5 saying, can you imagine not having to find the perfect degree of the camera and not having to wear just black t-shirts whenever you play? That's the dream. Dude, I play naked. Do you guys don't play naked? Like, I mean, I guess if you live with somebody else, you have to kind of worry about
I'll
the
tell
other
you
person.
this, Brian.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, Brian. There's one interview that I did in Rec Room one time throughout the years where I was totally naked and nobody knew. I'll never tell which. I'll never tell which one.
Oh man,
it was hot in my house, and I was just like,
I mean, I pretty much only wear black T-shirts anyway, so it's not a big deal for me.
Yeah, same. Also, the one thing that keeps me from playing PSVR naked is that screen that pops up at the very beginning when you're starting up and you see yourself and you're like, no.
Right.
No.
I remember
not a pretty sight, man.
I remember watching the VR grid playing the Playroom VR, the Robots Rescue Mission one time, and at the end of the Playroom thing, it takes a picture of you when you complete Astro's Robot Rescue Mission or whatever, and I was like, oh man, I really hope I'm not about to be like scarred for life in the VR grid, and it popped up, and I was like I timed it just right to like right before it came up. I was like, picture time, and he's like, picture time, what? And it goes, ching, and it was him in his pajamas. It was pretty funny. I was like, gotcha.
Yeah, a bunch of people posted on Reddit about that when it first came out because they were like, huge PSA, huge warning, everyone.
Yeah.
Not only does it take a picture of you, when you go back into the game, it'll just like randomly cycle through the pictures that it took of you. Yeah. So you could be like, hey, Mom, do you want to come play this cool new game? And then just, the whole family sucks. So feeling awkward that night.
Wow. So anyway, so that was
what we're talking about.
Well, inside out tracking, and I guess one of the many things that this alleviates, which is fantastic. Okay, this one is I feel like I'm going out of order. Maybe I should have put them in order of like least important to most important. But the next one I want to talk about is haptics in the headset.
Yes. This is good stuff.
This is sort of, just to kind of put it in context, one of the things, what?
No, I'm just excited.
You're just excited. Sorry, I had to look away from the screen for a second, and when I looked back, you were like, I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like, use your words. But this is one of the things that we actually we speculated quite a bit about and said, we were putting all of our haptics in the headset dreams into motion and saying, like walking down a city street and feeling the rain actually on your head, unlike Returnal where, you're feeling it in the controller, which is nice, but it's like
really nice though. But it's really nice.
It's really nice. In fact, Returnal is what makes me excited for the PSVR2 controllers, right?
Exactly.
So, but being able to feel it not just in your hands, but on your head, feel the rain, even if it's like subtle, that adds so much to the immersion. Or I can imagine it will add so much to the immersion, right? And then whatever my umbrella situation, we don't need to go into the full details about this, but this just sounds incredible to me. It was sort of one of those things I didn't care about until I thought about rain. To one of our viewers suggested rain, and that's why it'd be so cool.
Well, here's another thing you might want to think about. You're playing a game like Resident Evil, perhaps. Something crawls across you. It goes in front of your face. Oh, you feel it crawling on your face. Oh my God. It's like one of those 4D rides at Universal or something. That would be great.
Many possibilities.
So many scare potentials there.
This patent, there's going to be some people kind of debating whether or not this is supposed to be something for, just like a motion sickness device or something like that. And that because that's what the patent said originally. But it really seems like it would be like such a lost opportunity. Ever since having my PS5 and playing Astro's Playroom for the first time, when I went back after finishing Astro's Playroom, when I went back to PSVR, the first thing I thought was, man, I wish the headset had some kind of haptics in it or something. Like, I never thought about it before. I never even thought it was something I wanted until playing with the DualSense and then going back to it. And I was like, I would absolutely love this. It would make for so much immersion if you're, let's say you're playing Immortal Legacy and there's like an earthquake kind of shaking thing and the headset rumbles or there's wind blowing and it goes woo, or like you said, the raindrops, feeling the raindrops. That's going to be incredible stuff because I love the DualSense and I want that tech integrated into the VR as much as possible.
Here's one thing that I hadn't thought about. We're talking about rain. We're talking about scares from the earthquakes. Your Long Shadow says, Waifu Head Massage Simulator VR 2023. That might be the first actual application of one of these damn games. Somebody massage my head, please. That's all I need.
I mean, hey, if it's got a
there's a
massager in
lady
it,
just
why not?
No, I like the idea. I like the idea of things crawling. Convincing me that things are crawling across my scalp or whatever, like in a scary game. I like the idea of wind. I think all of this stuff makes perfect sense. But I feel like the stuff that is really going to make sense is the stuff that we are not even thinking of yet. Is the stuff that like developers are going to, bring to the table. Yeah. We're just like, oh, of course rain, of course wind, of course creepy crawly things. But what's it actually going to be? And one of the things, and this is just totally random, of course, when I was playing Separation in my DualShock, which is kind of like randomly like have this low rumble. I thought that was intentional. Apparently it was a bug, right? But like I thought it was intentional, thinking, oh, this world is not stable. It's like fragile, and the whole thing is like the whole thing is kind of shaking at all times, and the wind is like kind of affecting everything. And so I thought that was actually a great implementation of the DualShock Rumble. Thinking, oh wow, this world is right. Like, but it turned out it was just a bug. It wasn't supposed to even be happening. And so
that reminds me of like English class when people are like examining all these deeper meanings, and the author's like, "That is not what I intended. That was an accident. I didn't even. The editor missed it. Sorry."
Right.
Voidcat says head crab massage. Yeah, I mean, imagine that's the other stuff. Imagine like if we do end up getting Half-Life Alyx, which we do think.
Oh God!
And something jumps on your head, or like remember like those Farpoint spiders that already are too much for people to handle,
right?
But need to get over it. Yeah, imagine something jumping and hitting. I said it before, like it's kind of freaky, but like if I'm playing a shooter and somebody gets a headshot on me, like I want to go like it'd just be more fun.
Jamie has an interesting comment here in the chat. It says Road to VR article on research that showed haptics in the headset significantly reduced motion sickness.
Right.
Now that's one I wasn't expecting.
Right.
But kind of cool. And the other thing that I want to note is like, this sounds great. We're thinking about the cool applications, but for like VR as a whole, the fact that Sony is the first one to lay the gauntlet down and do something like this, like no other headset, they'll come out with one that has higher resolution. I guarantee you. Probably before the PSVR2 even comes out, they'll have one with higher resolution. The Pimax exists already, right? Yeah. So that doesn't matter as much as stuff that actually like really benefits the experience in an impactful way and changes the experience of being in VR. And I think this face haptics shit could do that, honestly. Like, it is a game changer, kind of. And I think other people are going to have to be playing catch up with Sony on this one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some dude at Facebook was like, oh, it's too crazy. It's too expensive. There's no way we should do it. And, Sony's like, we could get this done.
Yeah, real quick, you stay frosty with a $2.79 tip. Says Brian, you stay awake. You stay awake. You stay frosty. I like it. He hands me a cup of coffee. # Dave keeps yawning. Thank you so much. You stay frosty. Also, we're gonna give a shout out to Alberto.
Wait, hold on. I got this. Alberto Mapome.
Wow, that was sexy.
That was almost as bad as that Elon Musk Wario skit on SNL. Anybody see that shit?
No, I avoided.
Somebody in chat has seen it.
With a 50 Mexican dollar, says, wouldn't know of the leaks if it wasn't for you guys. Answering last week's doubt, peso, here we go, is Mexico's official coin, and 1 USD is around 20 pesos. So $1 equals about 20 pesos. Interesting. Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. A little knowledge goes a long way. So yeah, what's interesting about this, except Your Long Shadows, I just sighed when Your Long Shadows tip came through. Yeah. I didn't mean to sigh. I'm so appreciative. With the 50 Nokias, said Spider Sense in a versus Spidey game. A versus?
Or any Spidey game would be awesome. Just like a little tick on the side of your head, like
Spidey Sense,
from that direction. Like that would be awesome. Yeah.
Well, even in Returnal, we were talking about how you can feel the enemy's location in the controller. It makes a noise, and you're like, it's right over there. Like it's almost like 3D audio in the controller. You can feel where they're coming from. And so a Spidey sense in the right place, be like enemy alert behind you, kind of thing. Even for non-Spidey games, just be like, hey, this guy's. You can feel the sniper scope laser pointer on the back of your head. But yeah, to talk about motion sickness just a little bit more, it seems like Sony is the one that cares most about this. It cares about getting as many people into VR as possible, and not in the we're making this really cheap, accessible headset to get as many people in. It's, hey, let's make sure that everyone can play the games that we're making. And of course, they're the ones that have been so strict about comfort settings, blinders, making sure that teleportation, like all of this stuff is on by default. And they have always been at the forefront of motion sickness. And now they're able to do it from a technological standpoint. They have technology that will help with this. And so many people during the upload stream were talking about, God, what was it? They were talking about a few different games, and when they were brought up, they were like, "Oh, that's going to be a vomit simulator." And I was like, "But I don't think on Sony's headset, these games are going to be vomit simulators. I think they're going to make sure that more people than ever are able to play these kind of crazy, over the top, insane games, because the crazy, over the top, insane games are some of the most fun you can have in VR. And I always feel bad when people are like, "I wish I could play that." I was like, "I wish you could too."
It's not just that too. I mean, it's also, I think, the graphical fidelity, the 4K, the higher resolution games and stuff. Because when something's so close to your eyes and it's distorted, and you're supposed to be like pretending to be there and walking around, and it looks all blurry and stuff, like I feel like that is a big cause for motion sickness as well. Like Skyrim on an OG PS4 before it was patched, it was like super blurry and jaggy and just looked pretty rough, and that made me, when it's this like rich open world and stuff, and you're supposed to be, and it's immersing you in something that looks and looks bad and makes you feel bad as a result.
So real quick, David, the PSVR official game cat, says, "Is Sharknado a vomit sim?" In fact, it is. It's like someone simulated just vomiting into a video game case and shoving it into your console.
Yeah. So yeah. And yeah. Let's move on. I think
what's the next
last thing, real quick. I think the controllers might help with motion sickness too. Just because, hear me out.
Oh.
If every game you're playing has a new control input with the move controllers, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't expect that to do that. I didn't expect this to do that," and you're strafing when you mean to be walking forward and something like that. Anytime your output on the screen doesn't match what you expect your input from the controller to be, that can throw people off a little bit. It's a minor thing, but like the less in control you feel of your character, the less comfortable you are in VR. And so I think just having sticks, everybody knows how to use sticks. It's just no fuss, no muss, and you're doing exactly what you want to be doing when you press the sticks. So I think that'll be a little bit helpful too. But yeah, let's move on. What's next, Brian?
The next thing on the list, the next leak of the day, would have to be gaze tracking. So basically eye tracking, right? Which is something that, I mean, I know that Sony's been talking about for a long time. I forget the name of the dude that was talking about it literally 2.5 years ago, saying that it's very important for all headsets moving forward. But to me, again, when I was thinking about how this would be, just bringing PSVR up to speed with PC VR, I was like, you know what, probably expensive, probably not worth doing, probably whatever. But this is one of the confirmed leaks. I mean, how important do you guys think this is in the headset?
Gaze-based tracking?
Really important. I mean, first of all, because of the foveated rendering thing we talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who it was in chat.
I think
Glacier Streams, I think.
Yeah. So what he was talking about is that it doesn't just make it easier to do graphics better or track, what you're looking at and incorporate that information. It reduces the stress on the GPU and the CPU by like a significant, I think he said like 60%.
Yeah.
Now I did fact check that, but I mean, if that's true, that's awesome because it really increases the possibilities for games, what they can pull off graphically. If you only need, 60% of what you had before, or 40% of what you had before to do the same thing, like that's great. Parole will not shut up. Sorry, 1 sec.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's something that I think could be used to a big advantage if used properly. Really just depends. Really depends on how it's used, how it's implemented, and if it's actually, it would be nice to just look at something to like make it light up, or, there's so many different things you could do. If you're looking for a puzzle piece or something, and then once it spots that your eyes are on it, and then it glows or something, or you look at something to make something react, like in horror games or anything really. It could be used as a solid gaming mechanic. I firmly believe that. Yes.
Yeah. No, gameplay, as far as gameplay mechanics, absolutely. Yeah. If it can tell what you're looking at, then that makes your target that much more clear to the game and assists in every way possible. We talked about how difficult it was, and Upload talked about how difficult it is to throw things in super hot, right? Like, not only if you try to throw it normally, it doesn't work all that well, and then you kind of have to thrust it on top of everything else. But but still, it's like if the game kind of just knows, I feel like this got. I was going to say there's got to be something like this in 2MD VR football, but there's obviously no eye tracking on PSVR 1, but there is the game going, I think he's trying to throw the ball to this guy, right? Because what makes sense in the game.
They figured out an algorithm similar to like how Iron Man VR figured out an algorithm to when your controller loses tracking in this position, then we're going to assume that it's like, here and pointing this way.
Yeah, well, and there's
kind of how they did the throwing.
Yeah, there's way more to it than that. Obviously, you can go check out my interview with M from True and Pixel about Runner. He goes into all sorts of stuff about the initial Move controllers. But the fact is like so many people didn't figure out those kind of things on PSVR 1, and throwing became a hassle. For even like I was playing the Mage's Tale not that long ago, and you can create an ice spike with a spell. Right, and it's so cool to be like, boom, oh, this big ass ice spike, and then you try to throw it at this water to freeze it, and it's like the spike just falls to your feet, and you're like, fuck, man. Yeah. It's like this was cool until I fucking just dropped the thing on the ground, even though I obviously threw it. And even Mage's Tale used gaze-based tracking, but again, not hardware, just software.
It could change that dynamic of having to guess where it's going, because even stuff like Blood and Truth, that's like a AAA game. You have that little lobby, you pick up the football and you try to throw it, and what happens? Like almost every single time, the football just falls straight down. Yeah. So many games do that too. So
like counterpoint, I haven't heard any of these yet from somebody in the chat. In terms of us getting excited about this, Onikaze says all the games that foveated rendering with eye tracking have been back of napkin type math. What he's saying is just like theoretical shit. People thinking this is going to be better. I have yet to see anyone demonstrate it in an actual game. It may not be as efficient as everyone hopes, but hopefully you're wrong.
It may not be. No, he's right. Like, it has to be proven to work. But what I can definitely see is like how you were saying, we're explaining in ways that we could see it working. So, and we hope to see that it is implemented, and we hope there's several more ways that people much more qualified than us can figure out as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. When it is basically a lot of speculation based on some leaked specifications, and I'll be the first to say, we're fucking really excited for a lot of things moving forward, but until they're in our hands, you know what? I'm like, it's the same, but it's the same thing as PSVR 1. I was really excited about PSVR 1, and you don't know how amazing these things are until you're in the headset itself, right? And so it's like trying to explain these things ahead of time to people who don't even have access to them, right? I don't know if any of this is making sense, but like I feel like actually all these things are even going to be better than the things we're talking about, right? Developers are going to be able to utilize these things and utilize them in ways that we haven't even been able to talk about because we're not developers. And so these features, I think, are even more important than you or I think they are, Onikaze. I saw you, by the way, on the upload stream. How you doing? Right.
Yeah. So what? Are there any other features? Because I've actually, once we're done with all the features here, I've got a couple I'd like to add that I expect to see that we have gotten from actual official Sony officials. That we've heard. The gentleman that you mentioned before, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, right.
But he mentioned stuff from the thing. I know. It was so long ago, and but we can throw some of those out there as well as what else we expect to see once we're done with all the leaked.
The final leak from Upload today was that there's an IPD slider, so that you.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so you don't have to, like use the camera and like measure your eye distance and move some cursors around, and it goes ha-ha, and you go ha-ha, and then it's like, oh, okay. And then, when Doom 3 comes around, you have to fuck with everything to make it look decent. This is just
also passing the headset from player to player, like if you got friends over or something, you have to go into a menu and say, hey, can you do this thing to make sure it's set up properly? Right. You just tell them, hey, when it looks clear, click the thing, and then you're good.
It is absolutely true. It is super important to be able to adjust your IPD, but having it in this fashion just makes it easier. Makes it easier for just anybody, or if there's a game that looks weird and the developers on the developer side messed it up and you want to adjust it, it's like simple. And so yeah, this is a nice little thing. I think doesn't the Quest do this too? Like, or no?
Mine has a slider. Yeah.
I think even like some of the early VR stuff even had this kind of feature, but I like that PSVR had it, just able to program it. But it's like, take off the headset, take pictures of your eyes, match the little things to your pupils, and it's just like this just cuts out a lot of that.
Yeah, and I've always heard from people that I don't know for sure, but people seem to think that hardware-based IPD adjustments are better than software-based IPD adjustments. Like physically adjusting the lenses into place is better than telling the software to account for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing with Sony. You're not adjusting anything in the actual menu about the lenses themselves. It's just offsetting a certain amount. So this is an actual physical change in the way the lenses are set up.
So Glacier Streams asked something in the chat, and I'm really glad he did, because this is something I feel like we didn't spend enough time on, and I've got like questions, and hopefully there's answers. The fact is, Glacier Stream says, is the foveated rendering dynamic or fixed? Did it say? I wonder. I think they talked about foveated rendering in the context of eye tracking, right? And so that when you're looking at stuff without, regardless of where your head is looking, the focus of your eye is what will be in focus. And then the other stuff around that, like to save processing power, I think you already know this, Glacier Streams, but just to explain to everybody else, everything around that can like drop to a lower resolution. And that way, what you're looking at is always in focus, and you can save a ton of processing power. So I do think, because foveated rendering on its own is something that you can already do on like PSVR 1.
PSVR, right. Especially games like Everybody's Golf, and you see it heavily in Dreams too, and you'll see it really
heavily.
Resident Evil 7.
Final Fantasy game is the worst of all. On the original, it's like foveated right here, and everything outside that circle is just absolute.
I don't see how this couldn't be a dynamic thing, because if it's fixed and it's stuck, it wouldn't make any sense for a next gen headset to have a fixed foveated rendering and be stuck like that, and then the rest, you look to the right of your headset, especially you look to the right, and then it's like muddy over there or something, just because your head's not pointed that way.
Now, I'd love to see what like a higher resolution headset with a ton of processing power behind it can do with foveated rendering, because my biggest experience with foveated rendering is playing Resident Evil 7 on the OG PS4, right, with PSVR 1, and it's like the stuff in front of you is pretty clear, as far as PSVR 1 goes, and everything, like if you look at all to the left or right with your eyes, it's all super crazy pixelated, and you don't really notice once you get into the game because you're just looking straight ahead. But yeah, it's really distracting, and so I'm curious, again, what kind of special effects they can make so it doesn't just look like a mess of pixels. Can they just kind of drop the resolution and have it like kind of blur out a little bit, like a nice depth of field effect, where it's like, oh, this is actually just a pretty looking picture, a photograph kind of thing? Or is it still going to be something like, just drop the fucking resolution and it looks like garbage if you can, like outside of where you're looking?
As long as they keep up with your eyes, I think, the issue doesn't even exist, right? Because if what you're seeing at the center of your view in Resident Evil 7 looks great, and they always put that at the center of your view everywhere you look, you won't ever notice this stuff. Because if you look left and right, you're actually looking left with your eyes, and you're not trying to catch the corner of the thing. It's tracking it. So it's like, let's shift the resolution over here where he's looking. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Very good.
Nice. And so, as far as the new leaks today, that's the list. But AJ, you said you had some other things to add to this that we know off the record, on the record.
Yeah. And I just want to say that I think of all these today, I think there's some great stuff. I love the haptics and stuff, but my favorite, without a doubt, if it comes true, which it should, is 4K. I think that to me is the biggest, most important one that we got today. That's a huge deal.
Obvious. Like, of course they were going to do that, right? Like,
had to. No, man. I mean, not. You'd think so. I mean, for us it may seem obvious, but not to everybody else. Trust me. But yeah, man. So we've heard from different in a similar way that this stuff was brought together. Like I said, did a video nine months ago, something like that, and it was from a similar fashion, which was people that were messing with the prototypes, people that were working on different things. I'm trying to keep it loose here because I don't want to.
People, they were just people. Don't
just
ask
people that I talk to. Hey, forget about it, okay? But yeah, it was. So these were some of the other things that we can expect to see with the HMD, and hopefully we get to see it soon. I know it could be anywhere between this week and friggin' December that we hear about it, but we'd like to think that it's going to be sooner than later. But first, they did say it's going to try to be a lighter design, like lighter, thinner, not a whole like what's that movie and book. The whole
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, not like that full just like visor, but they would like to go for something like that. The only thing I'd be afraid of about that though is like durability, because the PSVR 1 is pretty durable, so I like that about it. But this is supposed to be less bulky. It's supposed to be lighter, and it's going to have a wider field of view, which is another one where it's Dave. You're probably like, yeah, of course, it's going to have a wider field of view. Right.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think to a certain degree, I've heard stuff varying about whether or not a really big field of view is actually better for VR stuff. Like when you get to the Pimax and shit like that, like it's not always good. And in some cases, and I think it can increase motion sickness. Not that we should have to worry too much about it with this thing. I'm not that worried about it, but I don't want them to go like some insane FOV, because also that makes the headset wider and look weirder. So, like, you've seen the Pimax. You know why it looks like a fucking weird bug face thing where it's like a That's because they needed to design it that way to get that FOV, right? And I don't think a good-looking, reasonable consumer product could shoot for something like that. But with all this other stuff, I think you'd be fine sticking it, like, what are they at, 110 now? 120, 130, something like that. You don't have to go super high.
Yeah, I think 120 is like probably the minimum you would want to go for next gen.
Yeah.
Not too crazy, not too big. So
as long as you can achieve it without making the headset look freakish. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
But that being said, the Halo design, guys, as we all can agree, is already the most comfortable VR headset out there. It's super comfy. It's like having a couch on your head. It's great.
That sounds really uncomfortable.
It's not comfortable at all.
Very light couch on your head.
How about it's like resting your head on a couch?
Can we go with pillow then? I mean, like, what is? Why the couch?
All right. Anyways, because couches are comfy, guys.
Okay.
Maybe yours is.
It's very comfy. Okay. So the other thing is HDR. From the people that I talked to there, and actually no, forget the people I talked to. This actually came from the guy that was on the panel thing. From the guy,
the guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that guy. Come on. He was saying like along with, I think he mentioned eye tracking as well, or I think he mentioned eye tracking or foveated rendering, one of the two. But the next one should have HDR as well, and so that's going to be pretty big. Now, my last conspiracy theory that I will leave you with is that from the prototype testing phases, I had heard that there were 2 headsets being tested, and yes, and one of them was wired, and the other was wireless. So I'm actually almost curious if there's one crazy theory. This is not even a theory that I have, but it's just something that I've just speculation. Is that I'm wondering actually if in the future, if we actually see a second model that is wireless, or if there'll just be some adapter for this one to make it optional.
Yeah,
adapter could be nice. Adapter. Nice. Yeah. I don't know if I'd want a whole new model just for that. I mean, if the difference is that they'd have to like insert different networking hardware in there. They'd have to put some kind of like 5G chip or some shit like that, which would increase the cost a little bit, I'm sure. But also, like, if people had already bought one, I don't see a big rush to go out and buy a second one if the only benefit is that it's wireless. You know what I mean? Like, if I've purchased one Do I care that much about that little USB-C cable, that one little cable, that I'm going to go buy a brand new headset just to get rid of it? Probably not. I'd much rather have an adapter for the thing.
It seems to be with the majority of chat things too.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because the majority of our chat is like, yeah, everything's cool, man. Like, one cable's not going to kill me. And a majority of the upload chat was like, I'll never go back to wireless. Once you go wireless, man, you're never going to fucking want to go. And I was like, you guys are all fucking brainwashed. It's craziness over there.
Once they see the games they can be playing on
right.
PSVR.
Because people think it's a slight downgrade, and it's not a slight downgrade. I mean, it's not even a slight downgrade now. Forget about PSVR2 with PlayStation 5. It's not a slight downgrade now with PS4 and PlayStation VR 1. It's a huge downgrade, and so getting an adapter is a fantastic, kind of like please everybody sort of thing. And it's like, even if it's not there at launch, eventually it could be there. Like, I don't see a reason why it couldn't be there. So I think that'd be a really, really smart move, honestly.
I'm sure they're listening to the feedback. I mean, they have to be listening. And the only problem I have with wireless, like I'm so cool with wireless, sure. But there's a big problem actually with it, is that it's like 2 hours. And like even a lot of our game cats that have Quest, they say, all these people clamoring for wireless, that it's like the next best thing. However, most of them say they play wired most of the time because they hang out with their friends for the whole time. Yeah. And
I mean, typically these Quest games and stuff that you play wirelessly are like a lot of the time social games or games you want to play for more than one round. And so at a certain point, you do have to plug in. And so it's a great thing until you realize, oh shit, I'm just going to be sitting here with a wire either way. It doesn't really matter. Because everybody who talks about it like it's the greatest thing in the world at some point has had to play with a wire plugged into their face. Yeah. Or they've had to stop playing when they didn't want to and charge the thing and then come back to it. And so neither of those is a pleasant scenario. So it's better to just know what you're getting into, have the wire, get used to the wire. I don't care,
So this is the good news, is that they've said they've learned from their mistakes and that they're going to try and correct every single thing they can from the first gen. And what we do know is that there's one USB-C to USB-C cable, and that's going to be it. The reason that some people have a problem with PSVR Gen 1 is because, yes, there's this breakout box that takes 4 different HDMI cables and then a power cable and then a USB cable that goes into the PSVR. Then there's a camera. And then if you want the thing, you got to have the adapter with the PS5 and then have the camera set up. This is going to be your headset, your 2 wireless controllers, and then 1 cable you plug into the front of the PS5. Bada boom, bada bing. Yep. Doom, bing, bang, boom. Done.
Yeah, I mean, obviously coming from, PSVR land, I don't find the wire to be intrusive at all. I've kind of like learned to quote unquote deal with it over the last 5 years. And it's not even an issue for me whatsoever. And that's with a fucking 2 cables that connect to things and then go into a breakout box that, I mean, it's just a mess of wires that is just like a fucking eyesore in my living room. A cable that just plugs right in be great. I don't need to have it plugged in when I'm not using it. There's all these people out there that say that they don't use their PSVR headset because that's way too low. You got happy medium, AJ, happy medium.
Oh,
now you look like the shortest one in the room. But everybody just goes straight downhill.
I should have been looking at.
So
I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah. That's okay. No, I'm definitely taller than you guys now.
Okay. Well, you were taller than this to begin with.
That's true. But I feel like just to kind of like even out the show a little bit. There we go. Anyway.
I get taller.
Okay, you can get taller. You can be the tallest one in the room. But anyway, so yeah, simplifying the whole thing with 1 cable, that's perfect, man. Your teeth look bright and white. I love it. Simplifying the whole process with 1 cable means that everybody can be happy. People who leave their shit plugged in all the time, people who put it away after every single use. Now it's super convenient. Just fucking plug the thing in and we're good to go.
Yep.
But, again, I do think, sorry, sirens on my end. I do think, though, that, this isn't the end of the conversation about the 1 cable. We're speculating, and the only official word we've heard was from Jim Ryan, right? Was Jim Ryan the one who said this specifically, or was it somebody else who said, that it's quick and easy setup with 1 cable done? And now
it was either Jim Ryan or it was Hideaki
Yes, right. It was one or the other. You're absolutely right. And so I'm very curious to see where this goes moving forward. And I really, really, really hope that the next thing we hear from Sony clarifies some of these things and gives us a few more details than the stuff that was leaked today.
Hope we hear it soon, man. Hope we hear it soon. Everybody's waiting on PSVR 2. I mean, we're still the last of the Mohicans out here. But bring on PSVR 2. People are ready, man.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Quick comment I want to call out. PSVR enthusiast in the chat is still catching up on the stream, but he says, I'm one of those guys who got some green smart bulbs, so I can just tell Siri it's time for VR, and the light changes automatically.
No way.
I've got smart bulbs all over my house that I just fuck with them before every show. But I didn't ever think of that. Just like a term to switch to VR mode, turn it all green. That's a really good idea. I'm going to do that. Thank you for mentioning that. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. So that was a ton of PSVR 2 stuff, which is fantastic. Having seen the controllers almost 2 months ago.
The orbs, Brian.
Orbs. I know everyone likes the orbs. Everyone, we saw those 2 months ago, and it was so exciting. And I was just I really thought we were going to be on this hype train that was just going to keep fucking coming. Every single month we'd have more information. And now it's 2 months later, and we really haven't heard anything officially from Sony since those controllers were shown. And now that we know dev kits are out there in the hands of developers, it's time, man. It is absolutely time, and I really do hope that we see more from them soon, because I don't like this being the way, we it's big news, it's crazy big news, but I want to hear it from Sony. I want them to be the ones to be hey guys, here's the official information. Here's some fucking pictures to go along with it. Videos.
To sit down and take one apart on a table. I want him on a white table with a white backdrop, and he's taking it apart piece by piece and showing me how the vibrator works.
Right. And now we do want to talk.
They call him the butcher back at Sony HQ.
The one thing I do want to talk about before we move on from the PlayStation VR 2 conversation is now that we have a better idea of all the stuff that's going to be in this headset, where are we at cost-wise? How much do you think, bundled with those two controllers, those two orbs, where do you think we are cost-wise?
I think we're looking at something close to the Quest. Because here's the thing. Technology has gotten a lot cheaper since Sony made these first headsets. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be bottlenecks in production that might affect cost just during COVID. We're still feeling the effects of all that. And if they're manufacturing any portion of it right now, that could affect things. But I think that since all the processing is really done off board, except for the camera input and all that stuff, really, it doesn't have to have a bunch of, it doesn't need a hard drive. It doesn't need a network card. It doesn't need any of this shit that the Quest has that it needs to run by itself. The PS5 can do all that. So it's essentially just a fancy display device with some input-output stuff. Right. And a pair of controllers. I think 300 is feasible. I think 350 maybe. No more than 4 is what I'm guessing. But I think 4 would even be a little steep. I think they can get it down from there.
It seems like a lot of people in the chat are saying 4. The prices in the chat are all over the place. And I do want to point out Peppo with the Pig real quick. Sony never took a loss on PSVR 1. They took a small loss on PlayStation 5, but they did never, ever since day one took a loss on PlayStation VR 1. And as an accessory, I don't think that they're willing to do that. I think they're willing to charge a little bit more out of the gate and slowly lower the price on PSVR 1, especially PSVR 2, considering VR is still niche. No matter how you look at it, it's a niche product, and it's going to be the hardcore of the hardcore are going to buy it day one, no matter what. Anyone who's got a PlayStation 5 and wants the PSVR 2 is going to buy it day one, whether it's $300, $400, $500. They're going, people that are that hardcore about it, like our viewers, the GameCast, for the most part, I see most of them buying it day one, regardless of what the price is. And I think Sony knows that. And then it will eventually become a bigger mass market as they are able to drop the price over time. So I'm kind of at $400 at launch. What about you, AJ?
My gut instinct is $400, but I would love to see them get it at $300, even if it means even if I would love for them to cram some of that DualSense haptic feedback, adaptive triggers in there. Have a little bit of that stuff in the headset, have the 4K screen, and maybe even just stop there. But they're not going to stop there. So I feel like it's going to be $400 because there's going to be a couple other things going on with it. There's going to be some nifty tech in there and the design and stuff. But yeah, I am so hoping for 300. But I think that if it is a wire, if it is mandatory wire, that could be a big reason for it going down to 300 or 350. But still, I think from what I've seen, everybody is I don't know. I just like to see them have a really competitive price and just get as low as possible with as much features as possible. What's up, Dave?
So I see a lot of people in chat saying, is this with the controllers or without the controllers?
Absolutely.
And also, they will not sell this without the controllers. No. This is going to be just like the Quest. It's going to be bundled. It will come with the controllers. Everybody who has the headset will have the same exact set of controllers day one. And they're not going to fuck around with that. The way they did it the first time was so messy and so convoluted for people to get into. And
it's still messy. People are like not buying games that support the Move controllers because all they've got is a DualShock 4. Like, I'm not going to spend $100 on Move controllers. That's like 5 PSVR games.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's definitely going to be all included. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I'm thinking $400. If they actually manage to somehow pull it off to where they sell this thing for $300, it would blow my mind. It would absolutely blow my mind, and I think they would sell like 40,000 VRs if that was the case.
Yeah, and I do think as fun as all of this is, fun talking about specs. I've been saying, we've all been saying, this isn't exclusive to me, that the games are what's going to put Sony really above and beyond. They've got more studios than anybody else. They've got more competent VR developers in their stable of developers than anybody else, and they've got more money. I mean, I can't say more money than Facebook, but they are certainly willing to take some fucking big risks as they've shown over the last 5 years. Basically, I mean, the fact they're putting out Fract, in a year where it's like, I don't think they're going to sell a lot of copies of Fract, and Fract is big, man. Like, Fract is one of our next big titles to be excited about, and I just don't think that there's a huge interest in PSVR 1, like a huge interest in PSVR 1 at this point. So many people have moved on, but Sony's,
Well, it's not just that, man. It's not an interest thing. It's the barriers. We're talking barriers here. There's a lot of things at play here, and even at their best, even with something like Hitman 3 or whatnot, like, there's still just limitations right now. This was the first gen of VR, especially on PlayStation, like, this is a transition into the next gen, and there's going to be some barriers, some limitations, some things that seem different that you wouldn't see with a traditional going from PS3 to PS4 to PS5, kind of thing. It's different. It's not the same. No, you can't look at it the same way.
No, you absolutely can't. In my book, PSVR2 is already late. Like, if this was the perfect console generation leap for me, and I know we're about to talk about why it's not the perfect for everybody, there would have been PSVR2 at the launch of PlayStation 5 so that we could make the seamless jump, everybody together. Hey, PSVR2 goes with PlayStation 5, PSVR1 is a PlayStation 4 thing. Let's hopefully there's some backward compatibility things in mind, but whatever. But that's the perfect leap. I think PSVR2 is already late, and I think because PlayStation 5 got announced and there's no word of PSVR2, I think a lot of people lost faith in Sony, and that became an issue. And that's why a lot of people jumped ship, because they lost faith in Sony. Everyone was like, they harped on and on about the Jim Ryan quote. It's not, PSVR2 is not coming for another, 3 years, 4 years, something like that. And it's like, and everything that happened, Sony shut down whatever studio it was that was supposed to be focusing on VR games. Doom and gloom, right? And so because of all these things added up, and that changed the narrative because Sony wasn't talking. And so people moved on. They said, Sony's not invested in VR. And so I think that this, again, yet all of these reasons are why this wasn't the perfect console generation. Passing of the torch didn't go as seamlessly as it should have for VR fans. Yeah. So I know I just went on and on and on, but but the fact is that actually brings us to our next story about why this wasn't a seamless console generation, transition. and that's because no one can get a fucking PlayStation 5.
That is correct. Yes.
Well, before we do that, we got to give a shout out to Blue Jew, the underground game cat, elite game squad in the house with the $20 donation. Says throwing money in the wishing well. Whatever happens, I appreciate you guys. Cat-like reflexes, sharing the news, keeping us up to speed, and giving your insights. Purple Heart.
Thank you so much, Blue Jew. We appreciate you.
We do.
This elite name squad thing, though. I don't know about this.
Wait, what?
Elite name squad. Yeah, I don't know.
Elite name squad, man. Yeah. We need more underground game cats, man.
I don't know if we need that.
Bonus points for underground Dave Station game cat.
Yeah, you're almost Bob Zarkov levels.
Almost Bob Zarkov levels.
There can only be one.
It's not the name for my crew. They're just people just put Dave Station in their name. Like that's kind of weird.
All right. But yeah, Brian, what was the news we got?
The news that everybody got today from I think this came from The Verge was that the headline reads Sony expects PS5 supply issues to continue into next year. If you guys remember, originally Jim Ryan said that they thought that like later this year things would kind of settle in, but that hasn't been the case. According to the article, quote, Sony doesn't expect PlayStation 5 supply situation to improve anytime soon, according to the comments its CFO reportedly made to analysts following the company's recent earnings report. Hiroki Totoki, I practiced that and got it wrong still, said that it's difficult for Sony to keep up with the demand for PlayStation 5, according to Bloomberg, and that situation is likely to continue into 2022. Totoki reportedly said, I don't think demand is coming down this year, and even if we secure a lot more devices and produce many more units of the PlayStation 5 next year, our supply won't be able to catch up with demand. We have sold more than 100 million units of the PlayStation 4, and considering our market share and reputation, I can't imagine demand dropping easily. Now,
well, that's just it. This isn't necessarily they still expect to possibly correct these manufacturing issues, but keeping up with the demand is what they're saying. There's so much demand. I mean, who doesn't want a PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. That is a hard thing to transition, and that is when we talk about how it's a little bit slow in PSVR land sometimes. Right now, it is. While everyone's waiting on PSVR2 is because of things like this. It's not just one thing. It's all the little things that add up that you have to factor in these situations. I mean, just like how when they're manufacturing stuff, it is like, there's so many things that they have to do on their side. It's not just like, hey, go tell this warehouse to make this many and then ship them out and everything's going to be fine. It's like, no, there's stuff that happens, just like the conductor shortage, the chips shortage, where the semiconductor chip shortage, where even Apple ran into an issue where they were stockpiling a bunch of semiconductors and stuff, and then their boat, they didn't account for the shipping trail to not get delayed and stuff. So there's so many factors that play into it. For me, what's been worrying the most about, and at least in how this affects PSVR in particular, is people having trouble getting adapters, getting frustrated. People having trouble getting a PS5 and getting frustrated. And then the third one is people having trouble getting PSVRs. If you go on, my mind was blown. I have so many friends right now that were so excited to grab an Iron Man bundle or something. And they go, and if you look right now, the Iron Man VR bundle is $500. And when you have something like the Quest that is readily available for $300 and you're trying to get this addition to your PlayStation, and it's hard to get, and it's $500, and you can't find the adapter. These are all the things that are just eating away, and this is kind of why next gen needs to come yesterday.
Yeah, Ben Dawson says they should send Liam Neeson after all these scalpers, and I totally agree with you.
I don't think it's all just that.
Skills.
I'm sure the scalpers are definitely driving up the prices and stuff. But
no, there's Sony's not selling PSVR bundles for $500. That's right. People kicking up the price on Amazon and eBay and shit. That's not scalping exactly, because I used to work in online sales for a record store, and if something was rare and I could price it accordingly, that's what I got paid to do. That's how I made money, right? So I get it, but with products like the PS5, where it's just twice the price or hundreds and hundreds of dollars more, that's when it gets really egregious.
Just a heads up, if anybody's looking for an Iron Man VR bundle, go right now to PlayStation's own website, PlayStation.com. You can get one for $350. They have them in stock. Get directly from PlayStation, so it's back in stock. But this is the thing. This is the thing, and this is and my heart goes out to everybody who's struggling to get a PlayStation 5 out there. But the fact is that the number of people I've talked to recently, my brother included, during Mother's Day yesterday, is so many people have heard that PlayStation 5s are difficult to get, and so they're like, I'm not even trying until later. And so many people want one, and they go, well, it doesn't sound like it's worth the trouble because no one can get one. But I mean, if you pay attention to the right places, I mean, it's much easier to get one now than it's ever been before. We did a poll on Twitter today, and so far there's been 420 votes. Smoke them if you got them. And 56% of the people, 56.1% of the people, have said yes, they have a PlayStation 5.
That's the majority.
That's the majority.
At least on your Twitter poll.
Now, I know this is a very skewed number. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand this is not representative of the entire world. There's tons of people out there who want to get one and just can't. Now, 56% of people have one, according to the poll. 26.6% of people say they don't, but they're not trying to get one. And only 17.3% of the people say no, but I have been trying. So that's
people,
yeah. So I mean, so that shows you that, like, that in that 17% will shrink and shrink and shrink as time goes on, because, you know, as far as supply and demand goes, you know, it's just going to be easier and easier to get one as time goes on. There's going to be less people fighting for those consoles. So the fact is like, if you've heard that they're difficult to get and you just decide, hey, I'm not going to try because everyone's talking about how difficult they are to get. I mean, which is actually what it looks like is happening in the PlayStation comment section on every single video they've made in the last 3 weeks. Like, why are you advertising the PlayStation 5? They're impossible to get. You know, it sounds like more people, and again, I know there's people out there that have been trying and they can't get one. So again, I understand that, but I do think a lot of people are just jumping on that bandwagon, saying, oh, they're impossible to get, so I'm not even, no. Right? My brother said, I'll get one when they're easier to get. I said, I'll get one for you tomorrow. I'll get one for you next week, sometime this month, I promise you. Because you keep your ear to the ground and, like, shit's out there. You pay attention and, like, you know, you're not going to, maybe you won't get it the first try or second try or third try, but you can.
You sign up for the Discord with the link below and you hang out and chat, and somebody will blast it when they're getting their PS5. Oh my God, the link's open. Everybody go in there. Like, that's how I got mine. I think that's how we all.
That's newly partnered and soon to be integrated with PlayStation Discord, Dave.
Also very true. Also very true. But again, guys, don't forget, if you want a PSVR 1 right now, you want that Iron Man bundle, go get it right now on the PlayStation Store, the official PlayStation.com.
Right?
It's not. That's why you have to go right now, AJ.
Right now.
That's why right now. Right?
Right now,
you know,
Carlos.
like, do you really want one? Do you really want one? Then go fucking get it right now. I don't want to hear from you in an hour and say, oh, I wish I could get one. Go get it right now. Right? It's what you got to do when you want something. And again, I totally understand. Some people are trying and can't get one. Mad Max Stone, the game cat with the $2 tip, says, I made it. Meows and swipes. Let's go.
What up, Mad Max Witness? Good to see you, brother.
We also got.
Carlos managed to look everywhere except the camera. Like, he didn't once look at. He's like, oh,
yeah. Welcome to Cat.
Back here, up there.
Yep.
Thanks, Carlos.
I'm waking Tornado up so she can be on camera. Hey. Also, we got Scott Jesco, PSN Harry Fellow, PSVR GameCat for life with the $5 donation, saying future past Scott Jesco here. Hashtag, oh God, here we go. PSVR best YouTubers are back, baby. Let's go. Watch when I get home. Only 7 hours to go. Don't work too hard. Past Scott Jesco. Can't wait to find out all the leaked specs. Meow. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, Scott Jesco. Thanks so much, dude.
Absolutely. So again, but it does seem like. AJ's texting me in the middle of the show. It does seem like, you know, our PS5 woes are not at an end. It's just, despite everything I just said, just by saying, hey, you know, if you really want one, you can get one, which is not at all what I was trying to say. Just to clarify, tax refund. I saw it. He's like, I'm definitely in the stop to trying group, and I'm on the OG. Just don't give up hope. Don't stop trying. Because if you really want one, you know, I feel like we can all work together and help you get one.
I saw something. I don't know if this was true, but it was on major websites that they were planning on being back in stock on the shelves again soon. So that could be something that will be coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that as well, and we will definitely let you know. I'm just sure everybody will let you know.
strangest suggestion I've ever seen from the chat for something we should change about the show. But AJ, consider this. Dan Kiefer says AJ needs a creature that fits in the beanie. Think about it.
Be cool.
You could have a creature like a little sugar glider or something.
I mean, I do have a lizard in there right now. So.
Oh, how long has he been in there for? You got to check on him.
He's chilling. They're cold-blooded. He's staying warm.
That's true.
I don't even know where to go with this, except to say we're kind of over our time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was a really fun day. I'm always excited when there's PSVR news to talk about. I'm always excited when all the cats are here, hang out, and get to shoot the shit together. Love it. Dave, I don't know if you noticed this. You have a marriage proposal in the in the chat.
You guys all do actually. He said he wanted just anybody to marry him.
Oh,
like he asked you, AJ as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're my type, John. I apologize. Me and Tornado, we had a commitment ceremony recently, so I don't think she'd be too happy about that when she woke up. So I apologize. Anyway, you guys, thank you to everybody who hung out in the chat. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everybody, of course, who sat back, didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We know you're watching. We love you so much. It's okay. I used to be one of you before all this started. Also, make sure you go subscribe to Dave at Dave Station VR, doing all sorts of random shit on his channel. I love it. Also, subscribe to AJ at the Underground. Now that he's better, he'll probably be actually doing stuff again.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be checking out some Boxed In soon, baby.
Oh right, are you doing that today, tomorrow, soon?
I don't know.
Eventually. All right. Well,
I gotta let my throat heal a little bit and play it by ear and play it by throat. You know.
Good call. Good call. Guys, also don't forget all these people that have been scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. These are people who, outside of people who donate to the channel during these awesome streams of ours. Yes, I said it. They're awesome. The Patreon supporters, they're the other ones keeping the lights on. So if you want to support the channel on a regular basis, consider heading over to patreon.com/withoutparole support us for just $1 or more a month. Still trying to figure out what we're doing with litter boxes, now that we've moved things around a little bit. But don't worry, everything will be back up and running as I slowly fix the channel piece by piece. And of course, thank you to all of our moderators out there, man, keeping the chat and everybody on the up and up. We really, really appreciate you. Makes our lives so much easier. And finally, we also want to thank Sci-Fi GameCat Henry out there, who is going to timestamp this entire episode sometime tomorrow. And we thank you so much for that. Did we thank everybody?
AJ might have a few people he wants to talk to. If you were to,
I would love to thank people for, by the way, this entire episode for saying glad I feel better, man. I saw every single one of you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm glad I feel better too. It felt like it was terrible, man. It was terrible. But other than that, man, I don't know. I guess the last thing I gotta say is cue the cat, Brian.
I can't cue the cat because we got Red Rover, the effing game cat. The $2 tip says, "I'll marry you for your PlayStation 5," and with that, we can cue the cat.
That's right, cue the cat, Brian, because I want to say goodbye to your long shadows. Off-court Dave Station Game Cat. We got another one, Dave. Look. Off-court Dave Station Game Cat. Elite Name Squad in the house. Mike Kelly, VR. Sunny in VR. Good to see you, dude. Secrets of Shades of Gray Matter. Gabriel 004, the License Meow Game Cat. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Peepo the Pig, the Golden Game Cat. Christopher Hart, what's up, dude? Chuck Demarat, hello, Ash VR, hard to get, you stay frosty, Corix, the Game Cat, Genetic Blasphemy, MRI Gamer, what's up, dude? John Peterson, Red Rover, the Epic Game Cat, thank you for the donation, Jargons, David, the PSVR Rational Game Cat, Johnny No Pockets, aka the Who Dat Game Cat, Onikaze, thank you so much, Bob Zarkoff, the Underground, Dave Station Game Cat, the elite of the elitist name squad in the house, Dan Kiefer, the Game Cat Cowboy Dan, yeehaw! Johnny Rub the Stray Cat, Zach Lightning, James, Justin Cassidy, Stingray X, Just Incredible, the Juice is Loose, Meow Meow, the Gamer Cat in the house tonight, Flame Hat, Game Cat, Blue Chew, the Underground Game Cat, anyone else? John Savino, I think that's it, guys. We still have more time. Tax refund. The he that is not with me is against me. Game Cat. That was a tough one. J Meow. Orbs. Mad Max Stone. The Game Cat. Wet ass.
Yo, like you were like, I gotta save my voice, and then you just did that.
I'm pretty sure my voice is gone now.
It's already fucked.
I'm not gonna lie, my throat's in a little bit of pain, but it was worth it.
Throat infection was like, ooh, thanks for that, AJ.
Yeah, Dave tries.
Welcome back.
Dave tried to do the outro on the last week's show, and it
didn't work.
Not so well. Yeah. All right, you guys. Good night. We love you.